So I get a lot of teachers asking me all the time, Betsy, about I don't have time to do a vowel drill. I don't understand why we have vowel tense or do a vowel drill, and I don't have time to do that with all my word work that I do and guided reading and small group. I don't know, how do I fit that in?
Here's the thing. You don't have time not to.
That's right.
Okay, so we all know that you can't have a word without a vowel. And vowels are troublemakers. Vowels, you got short ones, you got long ones, you got vowel teams, you got consonants pretending to be vowels. Vowels are what mess kids up in reading.
Mm-hmm.
The majority of students after, say, first grade, they know all their consonants. They know the sounds consonants make. They know blends. They know digraphs. It is the vowels that trip them up, especially when you move to multisyllabic words.
Correct.
They've got to know them.
So two big culprits are E and I. So everybody says "ih" for both.
Mm-hmm.
"Ih." So that's incorrect, and in our training,
so do you know, Christy, I got a pin for my shirt in the shape of a ballpoint pen.
So anyway, we just want to go over some of the visual cues. Don't you think we should just review those from the training for everybody?
Absolutely. That's one thing that I'm not seeing when I go out and do walkthroughs in Recipe for Reading classrooms. Groups are going wonderfully, but I don't see kindergarten students or intervention students still using the visual cues. They may not need it forever,
right,
but at the beginning, we really need to make sure they're using those visual cues. And I think we need to continue using the visual cues for E and I for a long time.
I do too, because those are the tricksters right there. So let's take a few and just go through them really quickly across here, Betsy. So A, we hold our hand underneath our chin and we go ah. Your mouth is open. Ah. E, eh. I, I. O, ah. U, So if I were in a small group and I had a child reading CVC words that had the U with it, and I gave them the cue of they're sounding out, say cup, and they go k, and I said, they would automatically retrieve that information and go, oh. So that's why those are so important. All right, so now teachers in the training say, I got all these, and then all my students have all these, and I don't know how to manage it. So you can cut them. They don't have to be this big. They don't have to be on this, this size tent. You can use smaller index cards. You could cut them in half. You could make them like that and go that way so everybody has smaller vowel tents. It's whatever you need. But I shouldn't walk into a classroom and see A in the vowel drill if you haven't taught A. Big deal.
And you're not really going to do a vowel drill until you have done COAD. We don't start any of our drills until we've done COAD.
Correct.
Because the whole thing with the vowel drill is comparing the sound of one vowel to another vowel, that discrimination of the vowel sound in the middle of a CVC word.
So before even going through the instructional process explicitly with your students, I see teachers, they know all their vowels. They think they know all the vowels, so they think their student should know all the vowels, so I'm going to put them all up there even though I haven't taught them. So just be mindful of after COAD, we're only going to have O and A up here. Now, to start out the vowel routine, you might want to start with O first and just get the routine with your small group and or whole group. So everybody in your whole class could have a vowel tent O on their table or
Let's
desk.
point out too that there is another way other than the vowel tense. Some people use a tongue depressor with a picture of the vowel the A, the O, the E, the I, the U, glued on top of that tongue depressor. And that may take up less room. If you're using going whole group, that might be a little easier that your kids have the 5 tongue depressors. You don't even need to glue it on there. You could probably just write in Sharpie that vowel on the top of the tongue depressor. And that might, management-wise, be a little easier.
Right. So the first thing I'm going to do with the vowel tent O, I'm going to say, okay, we're learning about vowels. We're going to be very clear in our intentions. And we're going to practice vowels. And I want to make sure that whenever there's a vowel in a word, you can hear that vowel, all right? So first of all, we're going to go over the sound again. So I would say to everyone in our group, we're going to go over the sound of O. And what sound does O make? And I would say, ah. And we would do that a lot. Just beat it into them, basically. And then I would say, okay, now everybody, whenever I say ah, you're going to say ah, and you have to teach them explicitly this vowel routine. So I'm going to do it, you're going to do it, and you're going to show me the vowel tent.
So I might start off with something like, K. Are you going to pick up your vowel tent?
Is that a Ah. O says ah. All right. So that's kind of how that works. And then after, like we said, COAD, and they know the vowel routine, then we're going to add in 2. And that would be distinguishing between 2 vowels. It's manageable. We don't want to overwhelm students. And they get this vowel routine in place for whenever you have all the vowel tents out, then they already know the process. So it should be easier then. So the first thing that I would say is that we want to start with with words that begin with that letter or sound. So if I said octopus, you would say octopus and hear that. And then O says ah. And if I said apple, what do you hear? What do you hear this time?
Ah.
A says ah. But the scaffold is sometimes for students who have learning disabilities, we want to say, okay, so if I said octopus, you would say octopus. Are you hearing that? Octopus. And then we would both O says ah. So you're
would you have
it,
them maybe, if you said octopus, would you have them isolate that initial sound? Ah.
Ah, what do you hear? Octopus. Ah. O says ah. And then go on to A. So after these 2, then we want to put it in the medial sound. So if I said cat, Betsy, cat.
Cat. At. A says ah.
Good job. If I said dog.
Dog. Og. O says ah.
So we're starting out with just the sound, then we're going into the beginning sound, then we're going into that medial sound, and hoping that students can isolate that sound that they hear in the middle, and then hold up the card, all right?
Now, we want to be really careful that we have intentionally selected our words ahead of time. We get in the heat of the moment with the lesson going on, and we're just searching our brain for words. Excuse me. And you know as well as I do that sometimes we just draw a blank in that situation. I don't want to go am, because that at the beginning of the word, in the word am, or that chunk there, that welded sound am, the A does not make the sound. So we need to only select words at the beginning that have that true sound. We don't want to say of with this.
Because I would probably see a lot of students going, of, right?
Yeah, so really carefully select, go back into that recipe for reading book to the page where those sounds are taught and select words from those pages to be ensured that you've got words with the true sound.